Hi all, in today's session we'll be looking into natural resources, which includes renewable and non-renewable resources as well as land resources. The learning objectives of this session will be to know about natural resources, to understand about renewable and non-renewable resources, to understand about the use of alternative resources, to know about land resources and land use changes. By the end of this session, you will get to know or understand what is natural resources, the difference between renewable and non-renewable resources, understand the importance of alternative resources, understand about land resources and land use change. So over to the session. What is resources? Resources are materials which have got value and is used to satisfy our needs. Life on this planet Earth depends on variety of goods and services provided by the nature. So, such resources provided by the nature is known as natural resources. Natural resources are of two types: renewable resources and non-renewable resources. Renewable resources are inexhaustive and can be regenerated in a given span of time. Examples of renewable resources are forest, wildlife, wind, biomass, tidal, etc. When coming to non-renewable resources, they are exhaustive and cannot be regenerated. Examples of non-renewable resources include fossil fuels, which includes coal, petroleum, minerals, etc. Now let's look in depth into non-renewable and renewable resources. So, what do you think is non-renewable resources? Well, from the word itself, we'll get to know the meaning. That is non-renewable and resources. Non-renewable resources is a natural resources that cannot be remade or regrown or regenerated at a scale comparable to its consumption. Examples of non-renewable resources include nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is the energy produced through nuclear fission. That is, nuclear fission uses uranium to create energy. Nuclear energy is a non-renewable resource because once the uranium is used, it is gone. When talking about coal, petroleum and gas, they are also non-renewable resources. Why? Because they cannot be replenished in a short period of time. They are also called as fossil fuels. Now let us look into how coal is made. Some 300 million years ago, that is before dinosaurs, many giant plants died in swamps. After 100 millions of years or over the million of years, these plants that died in swamps were buried under water and dirt. With the passage of time, due to heat and pressure, these plants that got buried under the water and dirt turned into coal. In this way, the dead plants are turned into coal, and this is how coal is being made. So for the formation of coal, it does not require a single day but millions and millions of years. That is why it is a non-renewable resource. Now let us see how oil and gas are made. Some 300 to 400 years ago, in the oceans, tiny sea plants and animals that died were buried on the ocean floor. Over time, they were covered by layers of silt and sand. After millions of years, these remains were buried deeper and deeper. The enormous heat and pressure turned them into oil and gas. Today, we drill down through the layers of sand and silt and rocks to reach the rock formation that contains oil and gas deposit. So, the formation of oil and gas is formed as a result of millions and millions of years process. So that is why it is called as non-renewable resources, as it cannot be remade or regenerated in a short period of time. So from this figure, what do you think is the difference between the coal, oil and gas? Well, the main difference from this figure we can say is that coal is in solid state, oil is in liquid state, and gas is in vapor state. So, if non-renewable resources are resources that cannot be remade at a scale comparable to its consumption, what are renewable resources? Renewable resources is nothing but the just opposite of non-renewable resources. That is, renewable resources are natural resources that can be replenished in a short period of time. The examples of non-renewable resources include solar energy, wind energy, water energy, geothermal energy, biomass energy. When talking about the solar energy, as we know, it is the energy from the sun. But why is this energy from the sun a renewable resource? It is because sun always produces energy wherein which it can be regenerated. That is why it is called as a renewable resource. Now when we talk about geothermal energy. Geothermal energy is the energy from the earth's heat. Again, the same question has been asked here. Why do you think the energy from the heat of the earth is renewable? The answer is, it is because heat is continuously produced inside the earth's surface. Because of this, it is known as renewable resource. Next is wind energy. What is wind energy? Nothing but the energy produced from the wind. It is a renewable resource because it doesn't get depleted when used, because nature constantly replenishes the wind. We can continue to use or harness the wind without worrying that it might get diminished. It won't get, as the nature continuously replenishes the wind. Next is biomass, which is an example of renewable energy. What is biomass? It is the energy from burning organic or living matter. Why is energy from biomass renewable? It is because its supplies are not limited. The trees, crops, and municipalities produce waste, and we can manage these wastes suitably in such a way that energy can be produced from them. This is the reason why biomass is also renewable energy, and moreover it is the cleanest fuel available. Now let's look into the water or hydroelectrical energy. It is the energy produced from the flow of the water. Why is this energy a renewable source of energy? It is because the water cycle is continually recycling itself. The water evaporates, forms cloud, and then rain down on earth, starting the cycle again. So a recycling is happening. Because of this energy is known as renewable energy. So now I hope you got to know what is the difference between non-renewable and renewable resources. Another topic that we need to look into is the alternative energy sources. What are alternative energy sources? Alternative energy sources refers to energy sources other than fossil fuels, which includes all renewable sources and nuclear energy. The advantage of alternate energy source is that it won't run out. So this picture shows the alternative energy sources, wherein which it includes geothermal energy, hydropower energy, solar energy, wind energy, biomass energy. What is common in all these things? These are all renewable source of energy. So other than fossil fuels, other than the energy provided by the fossil fuels, which includes coal, petroleum and natural gas, all other sources of energy is alternative energy sources. Now let's look into the another aspect, that is land resources. Land resources are the resources available from the land. The land is important resource as it provides habitation to many flora and fauna. Land resource is our basic resource. Throughout history, we have drawn most of our subsistence and much of our fuel, clothing and shelter from the land. It is useful to us as a source of food, as a place to live, work and play. It is a productive economic factor in agriculture, forestry, grazing, fishing and mining. It is considered as a foundation of social prestige and is the basic of wealth and political power. Land resources. A little more explanation about it. Land degradation is caused largely by soil erosion, but also due to waterlogging and excessive salinity. Out of the total area, as many as 175 million hectares of land suffers from degradation. The high degree of degradation of existing land resources, the changing climate and increasing diversion of land from agriculture to non-agriculture uses have aggravated the problem. India, being large agrarian society, has therefore an enormous task to meet the growing demand for food, fuel, fiber, together with environmental security for its people in the upcoming years. Now, looking into the problems associated with the land resources, it includes soil erosion, which can be water induced erosion, wind induced erosion, and then water logging, salinity, desertification, and landslide. Let us look into each one of them. Soil erosion. Soil erosion means wearing of soil. It is defined as the movement of soil components, especially surface litter and topsoil, from one place to another. This soil erosion leads to the loss of fertility of soil layers, which makes it difficult for the plants to grow. Types of soil erosion includes normal or geological erosion and accelerated erosion. Normal or geological erosion is the removal of topsoil by natural processes like physical, biological, and hydrological activities. Accelerated erosion is mainly caused by anthropogenic activities. Anthropogenic activities are activities derived from human activities, which is opposite of those occurring in natural environment without human influence. This anthropogenic activity example includes like overgrazing, deforestation, mining, urbanization, industrialization, etc. Two factors affecting soil erosion is the climatic agents as well as the biotic agents. The climatic agents include water and wind. The biotic agents include excessive grazing, deforestation, and mining. Based on the climatic agent, we can differentiate soil erosion into two. The first one is the water induced soil erosion. Water induced soil erosion is nothing but the removal of soil by water and transportation of this eroded material away from the point of removal. Different types of water induced soil erosion are sheet erosion, which is the uniform removal of thin layer of soil from large surface area. Rill erosion, which is due to the rainfall, finger-like grooves or rills are formed. It is called rill erosion. Gully erosion, it is prominent in heavy rainfall where deeper cavities or gullies are formed of U or V shaped. Slip erosion, this occurs due to heavy rainfall on slopes of hills and mountains. Stream bank erosion, in rainy season, when fast running streams take a turn in some direction, they cut the soil and make a cave in the bank, which is termed as stream bank erosion. Next is wind induced soil erosion. Wind induced soil erosion can be caused by light wind that drops soil particles along the surface through to a strong wind that lifts a large volume of soil particles into air to create dust storms. On basis of this, different types of wind induced soil erosion are siltation. This occurs due to direct pressure of stormy winds and soil particles of 1 to 1.5 millimeter diameter move up in vertical direction. Suspension, here fine soil particles less than 1 mm diameter which are suspended in air are picked and taken away to distant places. Next water induced soil erosion type is the surface creep. Here larger particles 5 to 10 millimeter diameter creeps over the soil surface along the wind. Conservation of soil erosion. The ways in which we can conserve soil erosion or prevent soil erosion is conservational till farming, contour farming, terracing, strip cropping, windbreaks or shelter beds. Now let's look into each one of them individually. Conservational till farming. Tillage is the agricultural preparation of soil by mechanical agitation of various types such as digging, stirring and overturning. So through these processes, when there is an agitation made in the soil, it is termed as tillage. Examples of human power tilling method using hand tool include shoveling, picking, mattock walk, hoeing and raking. Examples of draft animal powered or mechanized work include ploughing. Next way of conserving soil erosion is the counter farming. We can observe in the figure, it is on gentle slopes, horizontal rows of plants are planted. This helps to slow down the runoffs. So you can see in the figure how counter farming is being done. Next is terracing. Again, if you observe in the figure, you'll get to understand what is terracing. It is done on steep slopes, extremely efficient to prevent runoff, good in high rainfall areas. Next one is strip cropping. It is nothing but alternate strips of crops with grasses or grass legumine mixture. Runoff is retained by strip covering or strip cropping. Also helps in nitrogen fixation. So alternative strips of crops are being planted along with the grasses or leguminous plants, which helps to retain the runoff by strip cropping. Next is shelter belt or wind breaks. If you observe in the figure, we can see how it has been arranged. It is a plantation usually made up of one or more rows of trees or shrubs planted in such a manner as to provide shelter from the wind and to protect soil from erosion. They are commonly planted around the edges of the fields or farms. Next problem associated with the land resources is the waterlogging. Waterlogging occurs when there is too much of water in a plant root zone area, which decreases the availability of oxygen to the roots, which makes the roots not able to breathe and thereby affecting the growth of plants. And moreover, when these water from these areas evaporate, they leave behind white crust of salt, and these are extremely high sodium quantity. The causes of waterlogging are excessive rainfall, poor external drainage, poor internal drainage, inability of the soil in that area to store water. Because of waterlogging, precious land resources are wasted. The next problem is the landslides. Landslides is nothing but the movement of mass of rocks, debris or earth down a slope. It is mainly due to the disturbance on the natural stability. This is mainly occur due to various developmental activities like construction of large dams, reservoirs, construction of roads, etc., wherein which there requires a large scale deforestation. When there is large scale deforestation, it in turn increases the chances of landslide. Desertification. Desertification is another problem of the land resources. Desertification is the degradation of land in arid, semi-arid and subhumid areas. It is primarily caused by human activities and or climatic variation. Here in these areas, the biological productivity is lost due to such natural process or induced human activities. Due to desertification, it leads to depletion of groundwater and salinization. Causes of desertification can also be deforestation, overgrazing and mining. So we have reached the end of the session. I hope whatever has been taught was understandable. Thank you and have a nice day.